Hello and welcome to another sewing tutorial. In today's video, I'll show you guys how I made this fringe skirt here. LOL at my dance moves. This video has been highly requested. As always, if you ask, you shall receive.
Boy, I've been watching you.
I'll be making a black version this time round. I got this fringe detail from Fabricland, but you can find it from Etsy and local fabric stores. Some elastic for the ruched front detailing. And as always, I will be using some stretch fabric. I'll be using a nylon spandex blend, and then just my self-drafted skirt pattern. If you have a skirt at home that you like the fit of, then you can definitely use that as your pattern. You can make it as long or as short as you like. I'll just show you an example of how I've made mine. So placing my fabric on the fold, I know I can't be the only one who uses random objects to hold my patterns down. But yeah, you're just going to cut a front piece and a back piece, the exact same. I think I made mine 28 inches long. Your main measurements that you're going to need is just your waist and your hip, as well as the length of the skirt you're going to want. If you're using fabric that has no stretch, just make sure you account for the zipper allowance. You're going to want to take your front piece only, place it on the fold. I'm just marking the center on the back side of the fabric. This will just give me a nice little mark so I know exactly where I want to put the elastic in the front. So I've made the marking about 20 inches long. So as you know, for ruching, you're going to want to make the elastic half of that. I'm going to place my elastic about 1 inch below the waist. Here I'm just measuring my elastic. Like I said, I'm going to just split that in half. That way I can have that gathered effect when I pull the elastic. Here's a quick little example of what will happen once you sew the elastic on. It's going to give you that gathered look. Before I sew on the elastic, however, I'm just going to cut the bottom of the skirt because I kind of want that asymmetric V looking shape. I don't know how to describe it. So I went about 8 inches up from the center of the fabric, created a nice little line there, and I'm just going to cut it out like that. So you're going to kind of get a V shape. And this is how it should look when you're done. And once you actually sew on the elastic, you're going to have that nice gathered look in the front. To create that draping kind of effect, I just kind of cut out a nice little rectangle, about 15 inches long and about 3.5 inches wide. I just cut it out, and then you're just going to pin it together. With the right sides together, you're just going to pin along how you see in the video. And sew. You're going to attach this to the front of the skirt in a little bit. Now you're just going to turn it inside out. You're just going to set it aside for a moment. You'll get back to it in a little bit. Now it's time to sew on the elastic to the front of the skirt. Again, this is on the wrong side of the fabric. You're going to start by doing a few stay stitches first just to keep the elastic in place before you start pulling. The key to this part will be pulling the elastic evenly as you sew along to get that kind of gathered look to it. Now you can also pull from the front and the back as you sew, but personally I don't like to do that. I just like to pull the elastic evenly. And as I allow the elastic to go back to its original length, I like to just kind of bring the fabric with me and then just sew it that way. I just find this easier personally for me. You can find out what works best for you. And this is how the front will look. You've got the elastic in the back, and then the front will kind of just have that nice gathered look. Now you're just going to take your back piece and right sides together, you're going to pin down and sew down just the sides. You can either use your serger if you have one, or you can use the zigzag stitch. For best results, I like to use the stretch needle to prevent the threads from skipping over. This works best with the type of fabric I'm using. Now it's time for the waistband. I'm using the same elastic. I like to make my elastic a little bit smaller than the original waistband on your skirt. So I sew it together to make a loop. Now what I like to do is, I'm gonna mark both the sides, the front and the back of the elastic, and I'm gonna make those same markings on the waist of the skirt. I'm then gonna match up those markings. So don't worry, your elastic will be slightly smaller than the waist of the skirt. So I'm just pinning down the elastic on the wrong side of the fabric, and I'm just gonna make one zigzag stitch all the way down, and you're just gonna pull the elastic as you're sewing to make sure that your fabric underneath is nice and smooth, so it kind of evens out. So I'm just doing a few stay stitches, and then you'll just kind of see, it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm just pulling the elastic slightly just to make sure it lines up with the fabric, making sure the fabric is smooth underneath. Now to finish off, I just kind of want to hide that elastic, so I turn it over twice. So now I'm just bringing it back to the machine, do another zigzag stitch on top, giving it a nice clean finish. Now it's time to add that front panel. So on the wrong side of the front, I'm gonna pin down the panel and sew. Right sides together. Once you sew it down, you can see if you just flip it over to the front, it kind of gives you an illusion of a draped look. Now you're just going to sew on the fringe. You're going to sew it onto the bottom of that front panel as well as the bottom of the skirt. So here I'm just taking the front panel and I'm just going to put it at the bottom circumference of the panel, wrapping it around. You can do as many layers as you want, and then you're just going to attach the fringe at the bottom of the skirt. I attach it on the right side on the top layer, and I just use a zigzag stitch. I just did a single layer, but you can do as much as you want if you want a thicker look. And that's all. This is the final look. I love this skirt. It's perfect for vacation. I know fall's coming up, but if you guys have any vacay booked, then this skirt is perfect. You can make this skirt in any color or variation you want. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it informative, then please, once again, do not forget to like and subscribe, and comment below if you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!